I'm a farm kid too. Grew up corn and beans, and it's a whole new revolution. A solar lease could maybe be 10x the revenue per acre of corn and beans in a decent year, and that perks up a lot of ears at the coffee shop where my grandpa used to take me. But Betsy, let me bring you back in. Thinking, as our resident geographer, and not to agrivoltaics yet, but just solar as a utility scale land use. And Austin kind of mentioned this earlier. These are just fancy fences, basically. They're not contaminating the dirt. There's not going to be any leaching of any hazardous materials. We're scaling up on the pollinator-friendly side. We're going to be able to do a lot of things, I think, going forward on habitat. But even right now, where we're not doing that on every acre of these large scale things, it still has ecological benefit. Or as I like to think about it sometimes, it's the ultimate fallow use. The land's just going to rest, the dirt's going to rest over the life of this solar lease, and then it's going to come back and you can certify it as USDA organic farmland if you so choose.
Yeah, there's a turnover given this land will be reusable. It's not as if we're putting buildings on and those industrial complexes will sit then for another 50 years, after the lifespan has been met. But we will be looking at resting the land for another round of crops. It's not farmland forever lost by any means, and looking at ways to incorporate agriculture and into our projects is something that I think as an industry we're all learning about. We're all finding new ways and new approaches, and that's just an additional field of growing professionals that are having new opportunities to do research and to learn about how we can have dual use in land. That's the ultimate goal of any land, is to have a dual use potential where we are able to double up that sunny money and to have multiple folks that are involved in projects that go beyond just solar operators. So I think looking at dual use is something that's going to bring us closer to making it greener in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin, would love to get your perspective on land use. The rich folks are out there buying land. We're not making any more of it. We've only got one planet, and even Mars may be a fixer-upper, but she ain't a fixer-upper quite like that. I mean, there's only one Mother Earth, and every acre matters. And I've started where there has been resistance, particularly in rural areas where I'm from, to seeing this kind of this maybe absolutism about solar as a land use, like, oh, it's gone forever. That's really not what we're talking about. As Betsy just said very specifically, that may be what a lot of land uses have been talking about in the past. A lot of land booms have just kind of been gone, but this is a long-term interim use. Can you think through, land use and the benefits, beyond the four corners of the agreement and the lease, but in a longer-term perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you alluded to some of the potential myths associated with it as far as, toxic chemicals or leaching. And I know there was a study a few years ago, actually out of Virginia Tech here locally, looking at cadmium telluride and how there was, no impact as far as health or environment, even from tornadoes, hurricanes, panel breakages, leak, in any of those concerns. I think as more projects get put out there, folks are learning more and dispelling a lot of those myths. But there is still an early stageness to the industry that nobody necessarily wants to be the first person to go ahead and put one there in their community. But it's about finding the right partners to kind of handhold and walk your way through it. So from a land use standpoint, exactly like you said, it's good fallow land. There's also been studies out there looking at the indirect benefits of agriculture nearby when you put in pollinator habitat. I think quietly, one of the pandemics or crises that's been going on without folks realizing is how quickly we're losing bees, and how critical they are to our agricultural and our food resources in a way that is pretty concerning. And so, to the extent that landowners that may be concerned about looking out and seeing panels or even seeing evergreen trees that are shading panels, if they're having benefits from their crop yields from a very friendly neighbor that come Christmas time is bringing around fresh cookies, kind of thing. It's why would you not want a friendly neighbor like that? So I think folks, as more and more projects getting deployed, are starting to actually see the tangible benefits, and it's becoming more real for them.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.